Hello, everyone. This is Greg West here at Black Community Blackboard YouTube page. Once again, we're here to bring you the content of the important things that we need to talk about in our community so that we can get some healing. And one of the things that we like to do, we're find the hidden gems in our community, highlight and interview them. Talking about the people who are doing things behind the scenes to help us grow and get better as a community. So if you have anybody you think that needs to be highlighted, a business owner, um, head of an organization, grassroots organization, any one of those, just a store owner that might have been there, all their lives that have been holding it down in a community, an educator that helped puts a lot of people through, that gave them the knowledge to get to where they at. Please get with us so that we may have that time to highlight them here on Black Community Blackboard YouTube page. And if you would like to have them highlighted, get with us on our Gmail account at blackcommunityblackboard@gmail.com. Tonight, man, look, I met this brother about 3, 4 months ago on somebody else's YouTube platform, and we've hit it off. We've gotten to talk about some things, and one thing I like about him is his candidacy. He likes to talk honestly about who he is, but more importantly, he has the knowledge that needs to be passed on, and he has no problem passing it on. My man tonight that we're going to be talking to is Aaron Simmons. He's from Charlottesville, Virginia. He's not one of those tiki torch carrying people. You know what I'm saying? I had to slip that in, because
I know you did. I know you did.
We gotta act like we gotta act like we don't just ignore the elephant in the room. We talk about stuff like that, But he's from Charlottesville, Virginia. He's a mortgage banker and been doing that for 14 years. Father of 2 children, Chris and Tyler, ages 16 and 20. He's a youth basketball coach at Culpeper Youth Basketball, and guest host of in my humble opinion radio show in Charlottesville. He has he has a good spirit and he has a lot of knowledge. And the reason why we're having this show tonight is to talk about the importance of financial literacy in the Black community, and also how we can go about creating generational wealth. As we know, we're already running 200 years behind because the way the system has been set up, the systematic racism that are in different institutions, and the banking and mortgage one is one of them. Even though we have people talk about redlining is dead, we know that it's a lie. So we're trying to talk to people like him so he can help us navigate through the system and this institution without as much pain as we go through, so that we can start giving our families the generational wealth. Because one of the ways to pass on generational wealth, as we know, is through housing. Having property, having a house and passing it down, because you can do that. It's cheaper for us to pay for colleges and stuff, to send our kids to college if you are a homeowner. So tonight, man, I'm looking forward to this conversation. Aaron, go ahead and do your little introduction. I know.
Man. Well, first of all, so I messed up on the bio.
Okay.
Because I'm from New York. I'm from New York. I was born and raised in New York. I don't live in Charlottesville, but I might claim the tiki torches or whatever.
No, don't claim them, man. That's for the alt-right. I know you ain't one of them, man.
Yeah, we just messing around. But I'm from New York City. Parents are actually from North Carolina, so I'm a PK. So my dad's a pastor, my mom's an educator, and so I really think that right now I need to share the abilities that they helped me to develop, which is to communicate and educate, and that's my job. And I think that what you're actually doing on the platform is so incredible, because I always tell people the smart people need to be talking. And too many times the smart people are not talking and they're not communicating the way that they should be, because we have the ability to communicate. We got to use our voices. We got to use our voices. Dr. Francis Cress Welsing always talks about the purpose as a Black professional should be to come back into the community and help those whom you love.
That's right.
And based upon our results, not enough of us are doing it. And, I just need to do my part to try to help us. I owe it to the ancestors. I owe it to my family and everybody that's invested so much in me, to my children who trusted me, and to the other people that have trusted me, even doing their mortgage loans. We have to solve some of these problems we have. And it's a privilege and honor to be on your show tonight.
Man, I appreciate you coming out. So, like, if somebody wanted to get in, and like with you being a mortgage banker, what would be somebody was looking to get into a home, and doesn't have, you know, somebody to walk them through, what would be some of the first things that they should look at? You know, because like a lot of people don't understand the importance of, in our community, don't understand the importance of establishing credit, or even know what a credit score is, or do they even have a credit score? You know, like
Right.
how do you find out about that stuff? Because I know me, when I got out of the game and when I got, you know, started doing things legally, I wouldn't think about credit. My respect for finances was really a lack of respect. Even though I had
That's
money,
real.
I didn't respect it because it was like easy come, easy go. And when I went to go find out how much credit, what my credit score was and stuff, I didn't know how to go about doing that. And I went on Credit Karma of all places. And
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, you gotta do what you
and
gotta
it's
do,
a
man.
start, right? It's a start, but it's not always accurate. You know, I didn't know anything about the three credit. You know, and I'm going to let you talk about that, the three different credit bureaus and
Right.
everything. But I remember starting off, and I was like, oh, I thought I was doing good when I looked it up, and I had like a 585. I thought that was a good score. You know,
You was killing it. You was killing it.
so listen, and that's for somebody who's always had everything in everybody else's names. You know what I'm saying?
Right, right,
You know,
yeah.
and I come to find out that bad credit was better than no credit. So let's talk about, if somebody wanted to find out about their credit score or even try to establish credit, what would be the first moves that they would need to do?
Well, I'm really gonna I'm gonna really go backwards, and I'm gonna
Please
go
do.
very, very transparent. And shout out to my parents, but I always use this as an example. I grew up in a household to where my parents had excellent, excellent credit. Parents got good credit to this day. They even have good credit since they was probably born, right? I did not know that they had good credit, Greg, and I'm their child. So when I became an adult, I started to just learn through experience. And too many of us are learning through mistakes.
Right.
And I know somebody's probably sitting there saying, well, isn't that how we're supposed to learn? And I'm like, not with everything. Because what happens is that you can help your children establish credit, like what I did for my oldest son. I have a Discover Card credit card, which I've had since 1997 when I attended Delaware State University. I added him to that credit card about 2 or 3 years ago. He's got an excellent credit score, and he's what we call an authorized user. And I'm sitting there thinking, Greg, when I was in college, I didn't have to get a free t-shirt to have credit. My parents could have thrown me on a credit card and I wouldn't have even known that. So those are just different things that I've just learned, but that's what I mean by learning through experience. I think that we've had I don't know if we grew up in a generation where people were scared to talk about money, scared to talk about these things. The problem is that if we look at the results we have right now,
Right.
we can no longer be scared to talk about this stuff. We have to be able to impact and share knowledge. And I think now, because of the internet technology, we can share this knowledge, but we're, like you said, we're generations behind where we're supposed to be. So just as an elementary, the first thing is that credit is the ability to borrow money and how we monitor it. So if I gave you $50 right now and I said, Greg, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to give you a repayment plan for the next 5 months of $10 a month. That's what credit is. That's all it is that, okay, is Greg paying me my $10 a month? If Greg doesn't pay me, he's 30 days late. Just like when you go to the payday loan place, they're going to hit you with a fee. On your credit report, you get a negative mark. And so there's three major credit bureaus in the United States, in this part of the world. It's Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. What those are is those are reporting agencies, which means that they basically report all of your financial information, but more importantly, they're reporting your financial habits.
Right.
And that's how everybody needs to look at it. They're reporting your financial habits. You want to borrow $35,000 to buy a Mercedes Benz. The bank might lend it to you, but what's your habit of paying that money? Do you pay it on time? Do you pay it late? So that's all we're talking about. That credit is it's a reflection of your financial habits.
And you know, I remember, you know, like I said, just on my journey of repairing, well, I'm not even going to say repairing it, because you know, like I said, I had my credit, you know, but I did have a slew of unpaid bills, because, you know, my
Right.
thing was like, you know, had a resentment with the financial institutions and all that stuff. I'm like, man, forget them. I'll get them and I never thought, you know, I'm talking about when I went, I'm talking about, even though I found out later that I could have disputed some of the things that were old, when I got a hold of my credit report, I had things, you know, like from old phone bills from like 90 something, you know, from
Hey,
when I
bro.
got my first when I first got my first cell phone and everything. Everybody else was working off a
Me
pager.
too.
Right. Everybody else
My
was
first
working
little
off a pager.
Nokia. My first Nokia.
Yeah,
Right,
and
right, right.
I had the tattoo with the little flip down, and you know what I'm saying. And I'm talking about
Yeah,
like
yeah, man.
like 96, and I said forget paying the bill, you know, and all of that. But I ended up paying all of that. And like what I'm getting at is like when I first went to go establish my credit and everything,
Mhm.
I was surprised about how thorough they were about things that you know I forgot about.
Mm.
But if I wanted to build that up, and one of the first suggestions that somebody said, look, even before you start paying that off, if you want to try to establish your credit, get you a secure credit card
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
and go from there. And as a result, I watched how my credit jumped from that beautiful 585 that I had and just making regular payments on time to jumping up to a 620. And I thought I was really balling in because
Hey,
man,
man. Yeah,
I had all
progress is
these credit
progress. Yeah.
cards, you know, people just sending me other card applications and stuff like that. And I
Right.
didn't understand at the time, like reading and looking at the interest rates for
Mm.
for a first time credit card holder or somebody who's trying to establish their credit. What type of interest rate should they be looking for so that they don't dig themselves deeper into debt or
Well, I think that, man, I think that if someone doesn't have a lot of credit, and I mean, we're being real transparent, it's almost like we can, I would like to use this street example, Greg. If I know that you're not familiar with the business and how we do it, that number might be a little bit higher.
yeah.
It might, I mean, it might be a little bit higher.
Because
Now, when we establish,
I was paying like 25%.
right, 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 right. But once you're established, think about it. So once you're established, you understand, you have a track record of how you're paying your bills and things of that nature. Guess what? Guess what somebody might say? You know what? I used to give it to Greg for 15.5. You can get it for 10.
Right.
It's the same concept. It's you have to prove yourself. So I tell people, unless you come out the womb with somebody putting you as an authorized user, or you like my son will have excellent credit because he's an authorized user on an account that I've never missed a payment on.
Right.
So if he has a 720 credit score, his interest rates are going to be good. If you messed up some of your credit or if you made some mistakes, you might have to get a secured card because you have to pay for the fact that you weren't responsible before or that you do not have a lot of experience. And that's what people really need to think about. So I don't want to talk directly about rates. Everything is about risk. So how risky are you? If you don't have a lot of credit, I don't know. But if you're established like you are, Greg, now, somebody might say, you know what, we can give you a 5% interest rate or a 0% interest rate. It's the same thing as with buying a car, the same concept. We're going to have people out there that are looking at this and they purchased vehicles before. You know for a fact, there's a reason why people go to the buy here, pay here place.
Right.
What is that reason? Because you've got something in the background that you haven't paid. So guess what? You end up paying more. If you have a good established credit rating, you can go down to BMW or Lexus or Toyota Financial and you can get that 0% interest rate on that new vehicle. It's all about establishing good habits and making sure that you have excellent credit. But really, one of the main things I can't stress enough is that we have opportunities to make decisions. Mm. And those decisions are very, very impactful for young people that are watching this. One of the best things you can do is do your best to stay away from debt as early as possible, specifically consumer debt. Because what happened to me, and I could probably line up about 13 or 14,000 million other people that have gone through this when you're in college, you're borrowing money with no education, with no ability to pay it back. And think about it. This is how you know that the game ain't for you. They're willing to lend you money and they know you won't pay it back.
Right.
Think about that. I've seen people get car notes that don't have jobs. Why are you lending somebody $25,000 to buy a Hyundai Sonata and they can't pay the note? Because the higher the risk, the better the reward for the bank. We have to start thinking about reducing our risk and so we have the leverage. How do we buy cars? How do we take out credit? How do we get homes with the best interest rates? how to leverage each other. Those are things that, as a community, we have the ability to learn, but we're not doing a good job of we did not do a good job of communicating before, but because we have platforms like this, other social media influencers, professionals, we can kind of change this tide. But credit is super important. And wealthy people, and I'm learning this because I have friends that are teaching me how to create wealth. They've used other people's money. Sometimes we watch things on television, and I'm a sports guy, so I love to use sports. It's the best example. Magic Johnson just helped buy the Los Angeles Dodgers for $4 billion. Raise your hand if you think Magic Johnson wrote a $4 billion check. He didn't. He had partners.
Right.
They borrowed money. They got a loan. All these different things. And so I'll use this quick example, then you can go on to the next question. In mortgage financing, I want everybody to think about this. You can buy $1 million property with a 20% down payment, which is $200,000. So you can get $1 million worth of real estate for $200,000. You can buy a $10 million apartment complex with $2 million. You can buy a $100 million real estate development with a down payment of $20 million. That's how you people leverage money.
Right.
So what I'm saying, Greg, is that you just keep on taking it up. Yeah, guess what? Magic Johnson and his homies and his partners probably were able to buy the Dodgers for $4 billion. And they all came together and probably figured out creative ways to come up with $1 billion in financing. They didn't just take the money out of their pocket. And that's what we're learning, is that right now we're financially immature. A lot of it is because of systematic things. A lot of it is because of lack of education. But there are basic group economic concepts that we can come together with that we just need to implement. So I didn't want to go too far off on a tangent, but that's the important thing about credit, because there's certain things that we can do with learning about credit that can help us leverage and create wealth. And now the main thing but the reason why we're talking about some of this stuff is because it creates safe spaces for our children. Right. It creates safe spaces for us to go. It creates better school systems. That's why all of this is important. Better business opportunities, restaurants, centers, mental health professional facilities, hospitals, daycares, fire stations, alternative forms of policing. All this comes when people have resources. We don't have these things because we don't have resources. And we have to figure out how to play the game. When in Rome, you do what the Romans do. And if you don't want to do what the Romans do, you burn it down. All right, that's it.
And part of it is I hear and I see a lot on social media. We need a Black Wall Street. We need a Black Wall Street. And that's why I believe that this conversation is important, because like people want to talk about we need a new Black Wall Street, but they're not ready to do the things that need to be done. Black Wall Street wasn't just built like that. One, people don't really understand, like a lot of that was done by pooling resources together.
It was all hands on deck, man. And right. It was beautiful up until a certain period of time. It was all hands on deck. And another thing that I want to mention, I want you to get back to your point, is that I just learned this. Shout out to the Green Gorilla. He has a channel and he does some wonderful work there. But he was talking about, Greg, that in the Black communities before, in what we would call the ghettos today, the wealthy person and the quote unquote poor person or middle class person, they lived in the same neighborhood.
Same neighborhoods, yeah.
I didn't even realize that. And what changed was crime. So when crime came in, all of a sudden, those people that had the resources left, people used to be in a big gumbo pot. That's why places like Harlem and the Renaissance, you had people like Langston, you had all these people. That's why you saw people every single day. And now our community is so divided because of the levels of crime that have been allowed, the drugs and things of that nature. But there used to be, like you said, there was a pool of resources, right? A pool of resources. So excellent way to bring that up, man. And yeah, absolutely. Black Wall Street's a great example.
And to get back to that, I honestly believe is that we have to pool our resources together. Whether I'm that suburban dude or whether I'm like, still an urban guy, because, I choose to, still stay in the urban setting. I choose to still be around because, that's what I believe my calling is. But I still believe that, it's important for us to, whether, like I said, whether I'm that suburban dude, or I'm, or I'm trapped in the hood and I can't move out because, I don't know any ways and I don't have the resources right now, but I'm working to do better. I believe that, only way that we are going to be able to develop that new Black Wall Street that everybody keeps talking about is going back to that and pooling our resources and finding, and like one thing that, we don't understand that helped out was that, the people who had it would hear you say, oh, this is my dream, this is what I'm doing, this is bop, 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 and we will help you. So bringing that, the healing in the community, like even talking about, the importance of what we're talking about now, creating generational wealth, creating, financial literacy classes and stuff like that in our community will get us back to, oh, okay, Greg has a good idea, but I know he has limited resources. Let's help him out. Those are some of the things that I honestly believe will help us. Now let's get back on task. Like, okay, now we've established a credit card, secure card,
Right.
we're starting to, so what would be the next move in trying to, if I'm trying to move out of apartments, because see, like what a lot of people don't realize, what I'm paying for rent, once I become eligible and I can get a mortgage, I'll be paying a lot less for my mortgage for something that I'll be owning. You know what I'm saying? So what would be the next step in me moving forward now? I got this credit card and everything, and I'm looking, what would be my next step as far as like trying to establish getting into a house and everything, Mr.
Right.
Mr. Mortgage Broker.
Man, whatever. So you've established that you have good credit, but the next obvious thing, and I know we don't want to gloss over this, what is your ability to repay? Do you have a job?
Right.
Do you have income coming in? And then you have to look and see, is your level of income in whatever city that you're living in going to help you purchase a property? Now, the great thing is there's so many programs out there if you're eligible to figure out how to purchase your first property. FHA, which at one time in the Black community was excluded. We were not allowed to get FHA loans. And this was not 150 years ago. This was about 50 or 60 years ago.
Right.
So that's pretty recent, but FHA requires a 3.5% down payment. So that means that if a house is $100,000, you need $3,500 as a down payment. And maybe you figure out some creative ways to get some closing costs. But that's what I mean by financing real estate. And a lot of people, particularly a lot of people, when we have a scarcity mentality, and I've learned this being in the business, sometimes we always, and I realize it, but we always never want to put money down. And I can tell you this, being in the business for a while, whenever people have skin in the game, they always win a little bit faster than when you have no skin in the game.
Right.
Always. And there might be somebody that comes on and says, I don't agree with that. I'm telling you, across demographics, I've seen it. When you put a little skin in the game, it means that you're not only are you committed, but you're willing to do a little bit more. And so establishing good savings habits is something. So if you have a job, establish good savings habits. A bank wants to see whether or not you know how to save money. It's extremely important right now. Do you have an emergency fund? And then, after that, you talk to your mortgage lender, you see how much you can get qualified for. We take your before tax income. We don't take your after tax income. That's what a lot of people don't realize. But there are some lenders out here that'll talk to a client, Greg, and say, hey, you can get approved for a $350,000, $400,000 home. But if we're not having a discussion about what your actual budget is and what your expenses really are, just because you can borrow it doesn't mean you should.
Right.
And there's a lot of people out there that get excited about the idea to just purchase real estate, but you still have to live within your means and buy something. I see a lot of clients that are over leveraged, they're paying too much, they don't have savings, and then the house not only becomes a blessing, it becomes a nightmare because you couldn't really handle it in the first place. That's the responsibility of a good lender that's going to talk to you about your budget, talk to you about your goals, what specifically should you be doing. I mean, because remember, buying a house is one thing. You get, renting, everybody talks about, oh, you rent. Listen, buying a house is one thing. You get the utilities that come with it, even if you're renting. You're getting the responsibility of owning the property. You get the responsibility of everything, that the taxes, if the taxes go up in the county that you're in, your property taxes go up. but you also get the blessing of the appreciation. You can sell it, you can rent it, you can leverage that. All that is a responsibility that we as homeowners and people that are looking to become real estate investors, because that's what you are, you have to be prepared for those opportunities. That means you got to know your numbers. And I'm glad I'm able to see your broadcast. I can talk to people the way I can't always talk.
Right.
We, as Black men, we talk about the Redskins, we talk about the Cowboys, we talk about LeBron, we talk about Jordan. Greg, what are we specifically talking about? We're talking about their numbers, their statistics. Well, as men and women, we need to be measured by our own numbers and our own statistics. What's your debt to income ratio?
Ooh.
What's your credit score? Do you have your savings account established? Are you invested in the stock market? Do you own businesses? Do you have multiple streams of income? Do you have a side hustle? Are you talking to your friends about doing joint ventures? The reason why I can say that is because I had a buddy of mine that talked to me like that and said, we're doing too much talking about Jordans and not enough about wealth. And based upon our results, we're not having enough of those conversations in our communities.
And that's a good point. Like a lot of people don't understand the difference between liquid assets and just assets, period. And they don't understand that like what you were just talking about. Can you what do you have that you can liquefy if you needed to?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
People don't understand it. And we've been taught in our community to be consumers. Be consumers. We're one of the biggest consumers, out there, but yet and still we need to change that. This stuff teach us how to become investors. I always talk this on Facebook, and this is the truth. I think I own one pair of Jordans my whole life, one pair, because I'm the type of dude who rather buy me for that same $209. I'd rather buy me a share of Nike stock that right now I think is at 109. I don't know, it's been fluctuating. Yeah. I follow it. You know what I'm saying? Because I'd rather buy me a share of Nike before I buy me a pair of Jordans.
Well, Greg, I can even do it better, because I don't want people to think that we're beating up on them.
Right.
My children upstairs, my oldest son in college, he's got a ton of Jordans. And if you go to Kicks Plug VA, he sells a lot of them. So he's figured out, hey, even if I have a habit and this is something I enjoy, right, it's also something I can leverage. And it's about creating a balance, because so many times people feel like they're getting beat up on. Listen, we can buy things. The problem is that we buy too much of stuff. That's the issue. Everything has to be a balance. Now, we are in a situation economically to where a lot of us have to put our nose to the ground, and we do have to stop buying because we're just over consumer everything. Go ahead.
Let me ask. So for a person who's, because, like if I didn't know no better, like my experience, you know what I mean?
Right.
And I was used to, money just flowing and everything. So now here it is, I'm now trying to learn how to live within inside my resources and everything, which was a hard job for me for the first 4 years when I got out the streets. Cause like I said, I still had shoebox money and everything like that. And I still had a mentality like spend it like, cause it's coming and going. Yeah. Till one day I looked up and that shoebox was empty. And only thing, what I'm saying? And I'm like, oh wow,
that's real.
Now I had to learn. I had to reprogram my whole mind of how to live within my means, so I'm not living paycheck to paycheck. For a person to establish some type of savings, out of their paycheck every month, what percent? I mean, every week or every 2 weeks, what percentage should they put up for right off the rip for themselves before they do everything else that they're looking to do?
So first thing is that Jay-Z said, chains are cool to cop, but more important is lawyer fees. That's number one. So number two, if somebody's got a pen out there, write it down. I'm only giving people what my brothers have given to me. There's a book called Richest Man in Babylon. You can buy it used on Amazon. Might be $5. It might be $3 at this point. He says the number one thing is you got to pay yourself first. Yep. You got to pay yourself at least 10% of your income. If you make $100, like you said in the shoebox, you put 10 under the bed. You make $1,000, you put 100 under the bed. You make 100 grand, you got to figure out how to keep 10. And that's the basis of it. 10% of your income. Now, the wonderful thing about it, what I learned is that when you reduce your expenses and your expenses get down to nothing, that 10% number might turn into 40, 50, or 60%. But just as a base place, it's 10%. And Greg, we understand there might be some people out there that's like, Aaron, I got so much debt.
Right.
Man, but listen, you can't afford not to. Everybody else, when you get your paycheck, and then remember, mind you, I look at clients' finances all the time. Everybody else basically has their hands in your pocket when you get your paycheck. They're just taking money out. They're just taking money out. They're just taking money out. You just have to change your mentality that says, before I even give you any portion of my income, it's the responsibility for me to take care of my friends. My family first, and the people that I love, which means I can't afford to not have some sort of savings. So I might not have to pay that person. I might have to not to pay that credit card. And I'm being honest with people. You keep your utilities on, you save your food, but if we're talking about commercial items or entertainment, that gotta go. Because you and I both know life happens to everybody, every single person. And if you think you're gonna duck life, guess what? It's gonna come find you. And it's gonna come find you. An emergency is gonna happen. Health scares. These are all things that we have to be responsible and to think about. And I learned these lessons late. I was extremely irresponsible and undisciplined with money, but I was a very fast learner. And that's the difference, is that it took me again, a knock over the head and be like, okay, time out, wait a minute. This ain't gonna work. But I know men that are 50, 60 years old that still don't have these good habits, men and women. And so that leads also back into the mortgage. And somebody's probably saying, why is he going that way? These are things that reflect on your credit report. They reflect on your bank statements. If you constantly have overdraft fees, you might be spending too much money. It's not always the bank's fault. If you have bad credit, you might not be paying those bills that you said you were gonna pay. It's financial integrity. If you want the ability to be able to borrow money, you have to show the ability that you can save something and that you can pay it back. It all comes together. So your good savings habits are gonna help you have a down payment so you can get a mortgage. Your good credit habits are gonna help you have a good credit score so you can get the mortgage, because you also have the good savings habits and you'll increase your income at your job. It's all a tenfold. And sometimes we try to compartmentalize things. No, it all goes in the same pot of gumbo, as my grandma used to say.
One of my sayings that I said in the streets and also say over here, my daughter hears it the most, because she just got her first job and everything like that.
Congratulations, man. That's all good.
Right. She's been working on part of her scholarship that she had that she won. She's interning for the city of Dayton 4 years. She got a full ride, and plus, she got a job working for the city of Dayton. But she's been probably hearing this for like the last forever, like the last 6 years. Because, I tell them, my motto is, just because I have it doesn't mean I have to spend it. And, that's a concept that I even had in the streets, and like I said, and it served me. Well, like my cats, man, they used to talk bad when they weren't talking bad about me. You know how we do with phones, and we talk to each other, we crack on it. It was like, yeah, Greg just tight. He tighter, you know what I'm saying? Tighter than
me. But the tight dude always got a stash somewhere.
Anytime something went on, they knew that, hey, let me hit them up or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Let me hold something, Greg. Let me hold something.
There was some times that I had to hit some of my cats up, like, hey man, let me hold something, man. Hold something. So it's like what I'm getting at is like learning how to, discipline ourselves is not always an easy thing to do, but it's a doable thing. So like we talked about the 10% that you should put away from your paycheck every week, and it might seem impossible coming in, but learning how to discipline us how to do that is very worth it. So like after I learned how to start putting up this 10% so that I can have some liquid assets and everything, so when I might have to put down a 3.5%, for my first house, or even 10% or whatever they might be asking, because I didn't need it, and I'm still searching right now, but I'm prepared to be able to put down at least 20% of what I need.
Absolutely.
So, like after I started establishing my credit score is now over 640, because that's what 650 or 650 to 660. That's what most banks are looking for. They say, okay, this guy or this woman is good, and is worth taking a risk. We'll go ahead and pre-qualify them. Now I've started putting up this little 10 to 20% of my paycheck every week so that I have some liquid assets. So if I have to put down a down payment and everything, what should be the next move that I make as I keep making this venture and becoming a property owner?
Well, obviously, once you have your credit established, you've been pre-qualified by a lender, you have your savings, you have your good habits, and you're telling yourself, I'm ready to purchase a piece of real estate. And it doesn't even have to be your primary residence. You might be thinking about purchasing an investment property as well. So either way, you get pre-qualified with a lender, and then you go through what we call the underwriting stage. And what that means is that from a lending standpoint, I'm a loan officer, I'm a mortgage banker. This is what that means. I'm going to ask you questions on your application. Does your paperwork match your application? If it does, you'll get the loan. If it doesn't, you'll have problems. Somebody says it's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. If you tell me, if Greg says I make $120,000, Aaron, and I've got $15,000 in the bank, and I've been saving it for a while, and I've got a 680 credit score, when we pull the credit, guess what the credit score's got to be? 680.
680.
Guess what the pay stubs have to show? 120. And guess what the bank statements have to show? 15,000. Now, if Greg decided that he forgot to tell me that he's getting a garnishment, this ain't you, but I'm just using it as an example, that he's getting garnished for about $1,300 a month in child support that he didn't think the bank was going to find out about, guess what? That's going to affect your loan pre-qualification and how much you can buy. Or also, you thought that student loan that you took out 25 years ago for 30 grand was just going to go away. And now it's sitting as a charge off, and it's a federal debt that you have to pay back. And most people don't realize, if you read the back of a mortgage loan application, is that it says you cannot be delinquent on any federal debt, which means that if you go bad on a student loan, you can't get a mortgage, a traditional one through Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, USDA. You can't get a traditional. So these are all things that I try to explain to people. You can't just think that the stuff you did before is just going to go away. One of the things I tell people, this is just 15 years of experience, Greg. I've had clients come to me and they'll say, the credit report will say, I've got a $10,000 repo that's sitting there. And one of the first questions I said is, let me ask you a question. If you lent somebody 10 grand and they didn't pay you back, would you try to get the money?
Right.
And they said, man, I know. Why are you not thinking about it like that? So you can't just think it's going to go away. People getting their paychecks garnished are real. That is real. If you think you're going to duck the IRS, that is real. They will take your money. Trust me. So you need to be responsible for these things. And I want the people watching this to know these are all things that lenders look at. So if you have your stuff cleaned up on the front end, we don't have to worry about it on the back end. Well, what we don't like is surprises. And like what Mr. Fuller always talks about is, I didn't know. I didn't know you were paying child support. I didn't know your wages were being garnished. I didn't know you were out of work for a year and a half. No, we want to ask all those questions. So in order to get a clear, I don't want to be too far all over the place, but to get a clean loan approval, Greg, have your ducks in a row, which means that you have to be paying attention to your money, your savings, and everything. Billion-dollar companies have accountants that they pay millions of dollars to watch their money every single day, every penny, every dime. Where's that money going? All right, this is going to marketing. This is going to expenses. This is going to payroll. If billion-dollar companies can afford to do it, we as individuals have to be that serious about our savings habits, looking at our bank statements. Where's my money going? Okay, how's my credit? When clients come to me and they have credit issues, I say, look, you have to be anal about cleanup. You have to be anal about this, because if you're not serious about it, it's going to stay the same. You have to be anal about changing your financial situation, but that starts with you and your mentality. And once that changes, everything else changes. The loan process becomes easier. And then information like this becomes easier to obtain because you have the mental fortitude to obtain it. Now you're having different conversations. I remember the conversations I was having when I wasn't thinking about finances. I was talking about foolishness. I was trying to figure out ways to spend money. Well, guess what? What happens when you start talking real estate? Now you're trying to figure out ways How can I leverage this? What are different loans that are available? Let me get a few of my partners to come in on some different real estate deals. The conversation changed when you change it. So the getting into a mortgage is all going to be based upon your habits and things that you do. And once you get down that road, it's fine. You find yourself a good real estate agent, you Google them, see who's got good reviews. Same thing with your lender in that particular area. Find out who's doing it. Find out what you want. When I bought my first property, I like to be transparent. I told myself, I want something cheap that's beat up that I can fix. And guess what I ended up buying? Something cheap that I could beat up, that was beat up, and that I can fix. And I literally created wealth in about a 2-year period of time because that was my focus. So people have to decide what they want to do in their real estate venture. Do you want new construction? Do you want to buy an older home? You have to think about those things. You want to buy an investment property, but the mentality of just having basic financial literacy, good savings, good credit, and stable income is where it starts.
And that's the reason why I really wanted you on here and to talk about it, because how we talk about the healing of our community. And I honestly believe that we'll spend a lot of time talking about the spiritual aspect, and this is part of the spiritual aspect, because we're talking about universal principles like discipline, self-discipline, prudence, all of that stuff that you have to have within inside yourself just to get there. And as I do that, I'm helping my community, and that's the whole thing about it. But I believe that one of the things that will help us heal as a community is having conversations like this, teaching each other that even though it might seem hard, it's real simple. It seems hard, and sometimes it is hard because we're talking about having to go against some of the mindsets that we've had for years, and retracing how did I get to this mindset, and now how do I get out? More importantly, how do I change it and get out of it so that I can do this? So I honestly believe what we're doing here, hopefully that our listeners and our viewers will be like, hold on, man, I need some more information about this. So like if somebody wanted to get more information about, hey, how could I go about doing this stuff that this dude Aaron talking about, man? What I'm saying? How can I get in touch with them? How would they go about getting in touch with you if they wanted to get more information of learning how to rebuild their credit and move forward and everything?
Yeah, I mean, I have conversations, and Greg, this is the full transparency. I have conversations with people in other states, and because I'm only licensed in a few states right now, Virginia, Maryland, DC, North Carolina, South Carolina. I have people that just called me, asked me for advice in New York, Pennsylvania, Delaware, because
Ohio.
that's what I'm, you say, yeah, Ohio, Greg.
Remember I called you a couple
times. But yeah, through our conversation, but man, if people want to reach me, they can reach me at my cell phone number, 703-728-2812, but also AaronSimmonsTeam.com, AaronSimmonsTeam.com. And you'll see my website, you'll see my information. But if people have questions, inbox Greg. I'm glad to help in any way I can. If I know somebody in another state, I can point you in that direction. If it's something I can't help you with directly, because my thing is that not only do I want to waste people's time, I want to help them get the most efficient, effective answer as possible. So I might not be able to help you immediately, but I can point you in the direction of somebody that can. And this information is so vital and so important. And it's all because of love. And I had to learn that tough love, all love is tough because it's forcing you to get uncomfortable. But the uncomfortability is going to help you to be better. So don't be scared of tough love. These are hard conversations that, look at look. And I know, and somebody's going to sit there, well, Aaron, there's reasons for this. I'm like, yes, we understand that there's reasons for this, but guess what? It doesn't matter. We have to solve the problem. Right. We have to solve the problem. My idol, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing said, it might be Black people's job to bring peace to the planet. It doesn't matter how the planet got here. That might be our job.
My concept about that, I always say that we are the, we are the Christ of this, this planet, because, old African proverb once said that, the sun will one day rise in the West, and we're in the far West, we're in the West, and what other people have gone through, what we've gone through.
It's been a tough journey, man. It's been a tough journey.
Resilience, and like you said, like she said, we might be the ones who have to bring peace to this planet. Because look, all that we've been through, we still have a caring heart and all of that stuff. We
We
still
are
have,
loving people, man.
we still have a compassionate mindset. We still try to look how we can help each other. Even in the midst, I mean, even in the Lions Den, when I was out there in the streets, man, it was crazy. But yet and still, what was the saying that we had honor amongst thieves? There was still love shown out there, you know what I'm saying? So, I believe what where we at with that is part of this healing that we're talking about. And there's, like the nine different phases that, Neely Fuller talks about, you know what I'm saying? And this is one of them, you know.
Economics.
Yep.
Economics.
And we have to have these conversations so that we can get to the point as a community we can heal. So now check this out. I'm going somewhere with this, man.
Okay.
A lot of people think that it's hard to get into real estate. If you want to,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? A lot of people think that it's real hard to do that. And as you know, as being 15 years in the game and everything, explain to me it ain't really as hard as what everybody thinks it is.
Well, not only is it not hard, but remember, I'm on the traditional financing side. So you're going through a traditional bank. The best example I can give you is that you can become a real estate investor. You don't have to be a real estate agent. You can actually become what's called a wholesaler. That's what my son is studying to be, which is that you can actually be a negotiator and learn how to help people sell properties and not have a license. You don't need a lot of money. There's tax sales. There's so many different ways that you can get into it that it's just expansive. Everyone's always going to need housing. Everybody. People are always going to need a place to live. And it's high income housing or low income housing or middle income housing. Housing is always going to be a necessity. They're not making the man upstairs, whatever you believe in, the universe, whoever. He didn't drop no more land. There's a lot of water on this planet. Ain't no more land. So if you got a skill, you can figure out ways to become a real estate developer, figure out ways how to build properties, how to rehab them. There's so many opportunities out there, even in finance. And I'm glad I'm on here because I can tell you, Greg, I've been doing this 14, 15 years. I have colleagues that can tell you, typically 99.9% of the time, I'm the only Black loan officer in the room. And specifically a male at that. It's dominated by white men and white women. It's finance. And that's globally. You see that. We've got to have more Black professionals that are getting into the real estate, into the mortgage business, whether it's on the service side, the sales side, management. It's a wonderful business, but a lot of times people don't talk about it like that. There's good salaries there. There's good sales jobs. It's a lot of opportunity. Same as in real estate. You can do property management if you don't want to own a real estate company. You can be on the sales side, servicing, handyman, development. There's so many opportunities. We're thinking very, very small sometimes. And that's just because some of the traumatic experiences that have happened to us. Right. But the good thing is that we have technology and we have opportunities and professionals like yourself and others that are trying to introduce people to some of these industries that we have the skills for. But sometimes, man, we're just not introduced to them. We're just not.
Right. And, and I believe, like you say, it's because of the limited education that we have. And when I talk about education, I'm not talking about college education, book education. I'm talking about, mouth to mouth education, true, not this misinformation that gets passed, but I'm talking about, the true, like, Aaron's been doing this for 15 years, so I need to pick his brains. And a lot of that comes from the fear that, because we've had these gatekeepers over years who would not pass on knowledge to, but to certain people. But like you say, now we got this technology out here. This social media. I don't see why anybody, and I understand that, fear is a real thing and it will keep me paralyzed.
It is.
Keep me paralyzed. But if I see people who have come from a background where they might not have understood the importance, but now they can explain the importance, it might give me a chance to say, I got some faith to walk through that too and get over that fear and everything. So like, Aaron, like, I appreciate what you're doing, man. And like, I want to encourage you, like, just keep doing what we're doing, man. And I think that, we might make this a regular segment and come up with different topics. You know, I'll talk with some people in the community.
Hey, I'm available, man.
Yeah, you know, different people in the community and have them, you know, so that way we can start having a financial, you know, like I told Brandon and Sam, I might want to start doing a show with them, you know, on our network, on this YouTube right here, once a month, so we can keep talking about the importance of mental health in the community. We also might have to do this once a month with you to talk about the importance of finance in the community and come up with different ways, you know, to help educate our people. One thing I remember when the school system, when I was in elementary,
right,
when I first left from private school, came to public school, they were teaching us banking back then.
Banking. Okay, I don't even think I took that.
Well, every Friday at 10 o'clock, First National Bank used to come to the school I went to. Is no longer there, but I'm gonna have to give a shout out to it because you know what?
Shout it out, man.
All my Cornell Heights Bruins, y'all know what I'm talking about. They probably something like, yeah, you know. But every Friday, I remember, you know, it was broken up in different, you know, time depending on what grade you were in and what classroom. But I remember you being in fifth grade, fourth grade, fifth grade, stuff like that. At 10 a.m. we would take our little quarters, dollars, whatever we saved up. We had our little bank book that we used to bring. You know what I'm saying? And some of us students would be the in-school banker. Now you couldn't withdraw, but you could always deposit. And then after we did our deposit slips and we turned it in and we gave it to the little student who was being the in-school banker, they would turn it over to the real bankers who would take it back and put it in our account. We no longer do that in schools. We were being taught back then, you know, the importance of how to establish, you know, savings. They were telling us, like, I remember back then they would talk about if you started a savings account when we were like 10 years old, and this, if you put $1 a week in, blah, 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 and they, you know what I'm saying, it seemed far-fetched because they were like, if you do this for this many years, you'll have $1 million saved up by this time with the interest that you're earning and all that. But they were teaching us something that we're not getting in public schools anymore. You know, funding is real messed up, but what people don't realize, one of the ways that we can help change our school systems is becoming property owners. Because most schools are ran through tax dollars. So if we want to improve some of the things in our community, we have to learn how to become homeowners in our own community.
Absolutely.
One of the biggest things that we run into a problem here in Dayton is like, we got to, our cost of living, you know, like when I talk to my cats on the East Coast, and like when we get offline, I'm going to talk to you about some things. You're going to be like, you're going to be like, get the hell out of here. You know, y'all housings are that cheap, you know what I'm saying, for what you talking about?
Oh, I've been looking at some numbers in Dayton, just
you know what I'm saying? And like, you know, but what I'm getting at is like having to teach our people again the importance of banking isn't that far off from what they've already learned. It's just we have to, you know, we have to do it where they can start believing in it. And one thing is seeing that person across the table that looks like them, talking to people like you. Really, they can really trust and believe in that aren't one of these ones that like, yeah, man, whatever, and then go back and, you know what I'm saying, and they have no trust because they're like, oh, he's just like the rest of them. So like, you know, like what I'm getting at, Aaron, is like doing this once a month and establishing that it might be the thing that we need to do, man. You know, help our community understand the importance.
Yeah, if I can share something, it's something I've never actually shared. It's a thought, but I've shared it a couple different places. But so in the United States of America, in my professional opinion, this is only my opinion, real estate values are all based upon people not wanting to live near Black people.
That's true though.
Now you see that now. So I want everybody to think about that. What happens when communities heal, people get healthy, schools get better, crime goes down? Because a lot of the crime is just because let's be real, I'm not going off on a tangent, but it's traumatic experiences. That's why we have to learn how to have empathy. Crime goes down. See, what happens to a country where the quality of education in a Black neighborhood is the same as a quality education in a white neighborhood. And a person of Asian descent walks down the street and they have to make a choice about where they want to send their kids to school. Oh shoot, well, I know Greg West, the Greg West Academy of Education, they've got a great engineering program. Why I gotta go down the street over there? It changes everything, Greg. It changes everything. Because what is the value? What people want to live in certain neighborhoods for certain schools because they're saying that there's a certain element that's not there. We have the power to change that whole entire dynamic as a collective. You want to see real estate prices change and just change? All of a sudden start having excellent schools in Black neighborhoods. And I'm just talking about excellent schools, excellent education curriculums, because some people might not believe in humanity, Greg. I believe in humanity to an extent. And let me tell you something. If Eduardo Rodriguez wants his son to be a plumber and he knows that the Greg West Academy has the best plumbing program in Dayton, guess where that kid's gonna go?
Right.
I don't care what anybody says, man, they do it over there. Because I know people that are white, Hispanic, and all these different nationalities that they send some of their children to different schools that might be in different areas because they have certain programs that work. What we have to do is, just as a collective, is reduce some of the traumatic experiences. Brandon talks about it all the time, that if we reduce our dysfunction, we realize what's happened to us, like Philippe talks to us about, and we realize that we are enough. This whole thing changes. Black children start learning better. Black parents start being better parents. We start understanding all these traumatic experiences and everything that's happened. We realize there's been a war and we just are the last people that have figured it out. But all this stuff becomes, you see when all this stuff becomes reduced, man, this whole thing gets turned upside down. Parents are teaching their children at home, the environments are healthier. I mean, people have to understand the US school system, but it's all ties back to economics. We have some in our urban centers, the air quality is worse than if you live in the suburbs, Greg. And people don't think that has something to do with how our children are learning and why people don't want to live there. Like, these are all things that, so when people start to get smarter, hey man, you know what, Greg? Mike and them over there, man, Mike got an engineering degree and social service and science. Man, he got this new, he went to Greg's school and he's got this new air quality thing. He's developing a tree programs where we can have more trees in our community. And so we can have more oxygen so people can breathe. This is basic stuff that we're not thinking about, but it all comes back to economics. So when we change Black economics through real estate and through our neighborhoods, this whole country changes. And I don't know if people are ready for that idea, but you just got to think about just things you got to dream big. We have the ability. We are enough. We are enough.
You know, there's all true statements that you're saying, and that's why I'm saying we need to have these conversations, because it might just spark in the right person's brain. Like, well, because you know, like there's studies that are out there, and if people have ever read the book, Black Taxes, the Black, my man Rochester wrote.
Yeah. Oh, excellent read. Excellent read. Yeah.
If they get in reading that, and even some of our European friends,
absolutely.
If they get past the racism that they want to have, they said that America loses how much money? I think it was like something like 60 billion. It might have been some crazy like that.
Citibank did that study. Billions of dollars.
Just because of the racist system that they want to run. If they will work on ways of getting rid of that, we're already a power in this world. Just imagine how much farther we'd be. And it always comes back to, like I say this, the black back. You know what I'm saying? Where they want to hold us back. When I'm talking about both ways, holding us back is costing them. And also everything else economically was built on the black back. Even right now, everything that goes on, that our culture is one of the biggest things that spends, I'm not talking about us as spenders, but that generates what people want to buy, fashion, everything like that. They see it through us, the culture, even in Hollywood, everything. Yeah. It still comes through off the black back. You know what I'm saying? But yet and still, you're holding us from growing. You're also holding this whole country from growing financially. And we have to keep on having these conversations that help people spark the idea like, whoa, this is another reason why we need to end the systematic racism. You know, I mean, I don't see people like going to run out tomorrow and just say, I'm done with my racist ways. But, it might just,
I wish it was that easy, Greg. I wish it was that easy.
But it might spark some ideas, be like, oh, let me see what these two brothers are. They, because, I like to challenge people to, think. Let me see if these two brothers are really talking the truth. Let me go do some Googling. Martha, bring me the computer.
You stupid, right?
You know what I'm saying? And I find out, and those will be some of those people that end up becoming allies that help. Because to be truthful, the only people who are going in the racism in the country are the ones who decided to start it from the beginning. And we ain't the ones. We just had to deal with it. So, so we've had to live with it. And now they're starting to see how it's affecting their own economic, development and everything. Maybe that might be the thing. Because, one thing we know about old white men, if they don't like nothing else, they like money.
Yeah, and Greg, I think the other part that people are starting to realize is that when in this country, unfortunately, was built on a you and a them.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is that, and I just think this is just a universal law. You can't defy logic. If it's supposed to be a we, but you create a you and a them, eventually the them is gonna get tired of you.
Yeah.
And that's what we're beginning to see. And I see people just fed up with some of this stuff, man. I do. And it's globally. Now, collectively, as human beings, what does it take? I don't know what that is yet, because I think that's the goal, is that everybody's been trying to solve this problem. But I definitely can see, like you always talk about, a change in the atmosphere. There's definitely a change in the atmosphere.
It is. And
I think that specifically here, what people are realizing is that, Greece and Rome, Greg, those empires were around for a really, really long time. This thing is only about 200-something years old, and there's a lot of cracks there's some cracks in the foundation.
Right, it ain't even 250 years old, and it's falling quick.
And people, and I think people are beginning to realize it's like, man, this country was just built on systematic racist policies. How can we, even as a quote God-fearing people, expect this to stand? That goes against all biblical principles, every single one. I'm not even getting in religion. It goes against all biblical principles, every single one of them. It will fall unless the people do what? They turn. What's that R word? They repent. The R word,
Right.
I don't know what that looks like in the society, but I agree with you, man. These conversations need to be had. Whatever I can, if people are finding this information constructive, make sure you subscribe. Number one, first of all, subscribe to the channel. It's Brother Greg and his partners are putting some great information out there. I'm gonna make a contribution. I'm gonna put some money up. I'm putting it out there right now. I'm gonna make a contribution to the channel. So everybody else should go out there too. Hit that like button. Put something in the comments that you want to know about finances,
right,
economics, credit. Let's answer those questions. Let's try to do some things constructive. Let's solve some of these problems and just help somebody else. As a wise man told me, if one person watches this broadcast, you don't know who that one person is. That person can turn around and change the world and change the community, but we just have to get the information out. And I just think it's a blessing. And I thank you for the opportunity for even trusting me and trusting my voice, that I can give some knowledge and advice to the people.
Why wouldn't I? Because you're the professional, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know me, I'm a big person about getting the proper information out. No more, I don't believe in, misstrued information, and that's the problem with what we're having right now in this country, in our community, is everybody's running off of information that they don't really know. They don't do the research. So maybe it can help spark this thing where, people would want to go do to get the real research so that they can have real answers. And I just had a thought. I said, maybe next month when we do this, we might stream this live. That way people can put,
man, let's get it. Let's get it in, bro.
Put questions out there in the chat so that we can have instead of Ask the Jagner, we're gonna have Ask the Banker.
Shout out to B, man. Shout out to B, man. That's my homie, man. Shout out to B.
Ask the Banker, you know what I'm saying? So,
Ask the Banker. Ask the Banker.
yeah, instead of Ask the Jagner, we're gonna have Ask the Banker.
Ask the Banker, man. Yeah.
But,
look, Brandon gonna copyright that thing. He gonna copyright Ask the tomorrow. You know.
We'll find a way. You know, I'm a hustler. So if he says T,
we good.
Right? If he says THE, we're gonna have DA. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So, but listen, man.
Oh, you're a fool, man.
Yeah, like I'm gonna put it in the description when we get ready to do all of this, that people can find it. Again, what's the website that they can get more information?
Aaron Simmons, AaronSimmonsTeam.com. You can email me at AaronApprovesLoans@gmail.com. That's a personal email. But if you have mortgage inquiries, AaronSimmonsTeam.com. Hit me up. Let me know how I can help you. Be glad to answer any other questions that are available. And again, thank you to Greg for having the Black Community Blackboard. This thing is going to blow up, but we need you. We need you out there to support it, to like it, share it with your friends, share it with your family.
I appreciate this. And listen, before we get out of here, like I'll do it at the end of every show, like we do at the beginning. If there's somebody, one of those hidden gems in the community, I don't care. Even though this is based here in Dayton, Ohio, this is really bigger than that. The community is bigger than that. So if there's somebody, I don't care if you're in Watts, if you're in Charlottesville, if you're in Charlotte, North Carolina, and there's one of those hidden gems down in Florida or anywhere that you think that needs to be highlighted on this channel, please get with us at blackcommunityblackboard@gmail.com. Send us an inquiry on how we can go about doing that so that we can get that out there. And because we need to change the narrative. We have too much negative about our community, and also our own community puts out the wrong information a lot of times, so it's time for us to do the healing from within, start changing the narrative. And it starts with, conversations like what we had tonight with Aaron, one conversation. Hopefully we spark the thought process of one person to help change their paradigm so that we can change the paradigm in our community. Again, if you want to subscribe to our channel, please do so. Hit the like button, like you said, hit the subscribe. There will be descriptions. In the description also will be where you can make a contribution if you choose to. But more than anything, man, get the word out, hit the subscribe button, share with your friends, and more important, I would like to get more people who have the knowledge and those hidden gems so that we can change the narrative in our community. So with that being said, we'll see you on our next episode. Like I told you guys, look, I've been getting more people who want to get involved. Reaching out. That's how come we've gone from one show a week to 2 shows a week. And if it gets to the point where I have to go to 3 shows because you guys will keep on sending me some content that we need to talk about and people that we need to, even though I got a busy schedule, I will keep on doing it. Because like my man Ted on Felons with a Future interview the other day, only hungry people keep a full plate. And y'all are a hungry person. That being said, I see you guys on the next one. Peace and blessings, love and respect. Have a good night, good day, or good evening, wherever you at. Peace out.